Hi again, everyone. This video is sponsored by contribution from Tamara, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. You made the videos. You are the face of the narcissist tactics and confusing underage sexual assault with a date videos for me. I am now writing you again. This time about my performance anxiety and my narc mother. I am currently 3 days away from completing my last four and a half month internship for my Masters of Science program. I was trying to experience and felt I was it was a trying experience and felt scared I was going to fail so many times. During the first half of my internship, I was so slow that my supervisor told me she thought I had a learning disorder. I had a lot of trouble I had a lot of trouble retaining things I read. She told me she could feel my doubt in my own abilities really escalate. I went in to treat a new I went in to treat a new patient. Although I did not like hearing this, she was right. I've struggled with having confidence in my abilities since I was a child, especially in new situations and when I know I'm being evaluated. However, I made a series of adjustments and choices during my internship that allowed me to pass. I am thankful I am thankful for that shame from dealing with a narc mother. Did not trump my resolve to. Oh wait, I am thankful that the shame from dealing with a narc mother did not trump my resolve to succeed. I want to dedicate heart and service to building a solid foundation as a clinician, so my patients ultimately get the best service I can give. That means I need to talk about my performance anxiety since it's a huge source of shame for me. This way I can devote more energy to being there for the patients. As far back as I can remember, my narc mother put me down and compared me to others when I accomplished something. One example was when I won first place in an elementary school young authors fair for my grade. All the kids at my school worked on writing a book for about 3 months and submitted it for 3 first places, 3 second places, and 3 third places to be selected to represent our school at the school district showcase. I won the first places, and my family and I went to the school district's Young Authors event. Not only was I cowering, stuttering out of fear when I was on stage telling about my book to the audience. My mother scolded me when I sat back down with the family. My offense, wearing slip-on shoes that had a stain on the side, and how a second place winner had better shoes than I did. She complained about how I made her look bad with my poor choice in shoes. I guess I was so nervous that day. I did not pay attention to what I was putting on. The final straw on that day was when my family and I were walking around to check out other books students have written. My mother came to me and said, "This boy from your school writes so much better than you." When I told her that hurt my feelings, she opened the boy's book and read 2 pages of it to me. When she stopped reading, she said, "There, tell me that isn't a lot better than your writing. He writes extremely well. I'm right, aren't I?" My narc mother also acted abusively when I learned things slowly. The year before the Young Authors Fair, I was having trouble with fractions and measuring things to the nearest quarter inch in class. My mom had sat me down with her to go over the material. After 20 minutes of still not getting it, my mother reached her boiling point. She slapped me repeatedly across the face and swept all the things off my desk. After she yelled at me to pick up my math book and pencil off the floor, she continued to drill me on fractions and measurements. The whole time she was yelling insults in my face and slapping my face whenever I got the answer wrong. Wow, that's how my mother used to try to teach me spelling, because I was a terrible speller. Math wasn't much better, but I was a terrible speller. I still am. And she would drill me, and I remember this was 7th grade. Every time I got one wrong, crack me in the face. When I continued not to understand the material, she yelled, "You are so stupid. You understand cartoons you watch, but you do not understand how to measure with a ruler. You are worthless." Yeah, well, you understand baseball. You don't understand football. I don't know, maybe because your idiot husband was acting like he was managing the New York Yankees. That might have had something to do with it as well. When I look back now at that comment, I think that is one of the dumbest logic I have ever I had ever heard come from an adult. Maybe she didn't understand the cartoons when she watched them with me. I have many stories like this, but it would be too long of an email. I'm now in my early 30s and see that she has been a big hypocrite regarding performance standards for me. For years, and even still now, she sits her ass on the couch from morning until evening and watches TV while playing games on an electronic device, claiming that she cannot work because she cannot find a job and needs to rest due to high blood pressure. However, she does not even attempt to find work, and my father is carrying the financial load. Also, my sister and I have talked about her own incompetence and social anxiety. One time, my parents caught an intruder attempting to break into the home. My father yelled at me to call the police, even though my mother was in the room with him and much closer to the phone. I was half asleep 4 rooms down. I jumped up immediately to call 911, and the operator asked me for the description of the intruder. I quietly told my mother to come over to the phone, trying to keep calm while hearing the intruder taking apart the screen door at the other side of the house. I told her to give the operator a description of the intruder since she saw the person, and I didn't. When I handed her the phone, I moved quietly to the next room to get my car keys and knives, all in case we needed to make a run for it or defend ourselves. When we went back to talk to the 911 operator, I found my mother just holding the receiver and saying nothing. She handed me the phone back and said, "Here you go. I don't know why you told me to hold the phone." I asked her if she talked to the operator. She said she did not because I supposedly just gave her the phone without instructions. I was shocked silent. As dumb as she makes me out to be, she was just holding on to a phone receiver that was given to her after I told her to talk to the 911 operator. And even though I did tell her to give the operator a description, let's just pretend I didn't. Wouldn't a half intelligent person get why they are being handed a phone in the middle of a situation like that? Yeah, they would. They would. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've made videos about this before. The narcissist will put themselves at risk to make you look bad. That's all that is. That's all that is the ultimate opportunity to black sheep you. The ultimate, oh, you couldn't even give me, get the fuck out of here. Wow. Oh, and after the police came and took the intruder away, my parents blamed me for the situation since I had only locked the top and the middle door lock and not the bottom lock. I thought he was, but he's taking apart the entire screen door. Yep, this is even though the whole thing started because my father originally unlocked and opened the door in attempts to talk to the intruder, and the intruder charged the door to try to get into the home. But yeah, I'm the one to blame. Now, my former golden child sister told them to cut the BS and had to explain to them about how opening the door to an intruder is pure stupidity and not to scapegoat me. And guess what my mother's response was? Oh, well, that's okay. We're not perfect and it's a learning experience. Ha ha. Where was that attitude when she was slapping me repeatedly for having trouble learning fractions and measurements? As I'm finishing up my internship, I think about how I would have handled my learning process differently if not for the recovery communities. I spent extra time every I spent extra time every day after my internship sitting in the outpatient clinic room to process information, make my own fill out templates, checklists, cheat sheets to make completing tasks faster and easier, and looking for extra ways to help others a little bit before I went home. At first, I was mad and ashamed that I needed to do this to increase my rate of learning. It was a confirmation of my incompetency. And if it weren't for recovery communities, I would have continued to make my own self feel small and remind myself of all the times I looked like a fool with performance anxiety. But as the weeks went on, going into the outpatient room and taking extra steps to improve my learning curve became a source of healing instead of shame. I was seeing what I needed to learn and providing it. I was nurturing my learning process back to health instead of perpetrating the narc's abuse on myself. I have at least gotten back up and tried again time after time of performance anxiety my whole life, which makes me see how truly sad her life is. She probably has performance and social anxiety herself. Unlike many of Unlike many of us narc survivors, she never got back up from it. She is still lying on the ground, scrambling for rocks to throw at others and attempting to convince others they belong on the ground too. Ali, please offer any perspective, advice, or shared experience you may have. Thank you again, and keep putting the truth out there. Um, I hope you realize your mother likes it on the ground. Okay? Because she doesn't have to be responsible for anything in her own life. Nothing. Your mother wants to take responsibility for absolutely nothing in her life, including her own safety and her ability to live her life. Because instead of talking to the police about who's breaking in, okay, you figured you'd be in a panic over that. No. No. As it's happening, she's blaming you. This wasn't an under stress situation for her, obviously, because she did the same thing as the event is going down that she does normally. She didn't act any differently as that guy was breaking in the house towards you than she does at any other time. She likes it. She will never, ever take responsibility for anything. I guarantee you your mother can't even order dinner for herself. Not because she can't, because she won't. It's not that the narcissist can't, the narcissist won't. They won't. She likes it like this because she can blame you and anyone else for everything that goes on in her life. She won't even save her own life. She won't break that mold to save her own life. Now, as far as the performance anxiety goes, like I had trouble in tests and I hated school. Written tests, I get massive performance anxiety. I don't know why it was written, but speaking, I never had any problem with that. I always flourish speaking in front of people. It's just something I never had a problem with. Charlene, on the other hand, who is a legitimate genius, could have finished high school 3 years early, finished basically with 2.5 years of college credit. Okay? Every time they tried to test her as a kid, she just shut down and wouldn't say a word. Anytime they gave her an award publicly, she'd shut down and wouldn't say a word. Wouldn't say a word. At her graduation, she wore a blue wig. Just as kind of a fuck you to her mother. And because what they would do, her mother would do the same thing as your mother. Okay? Publicly in front of other people, they'd be like, how wonderful, how wonderful. And as soon as they got her alone, they tear her down. Accuse her of being arrogant and shoving it in everybody's faces. They don't let you celebrate anything. And that's where your performance anxiety is. What you have to realize is your mother can't do that to you anymore. Okay, everybody who's evaluating you is not your mother. And that's the hard thing to get past. But with no contact, like you said, it gets easier and easier and easier. But the overall thing I want you to realize about your mother, I don't think your mother's stupid. Okay? It takes a lot of work to be that ignorant. And nobody's that ignorant. She's just so lazy. Okay? She is just so lazy. And she so likes other people doing for her. She won't even save her own life. She'd rather die blaming you than saving. The narcissist would rather die blaming you than to save their own life. That's sick. So thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, or you'd like to set up a private Skype chat or a private video, you know what to do with the PayPal and the email links in the description box. I'll have the video right back to you. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again soon.